Feeling abandoned during your spiritual awakening? Learning to be your own best friend by Jennifer Crystal Johnson. Loneliness is a common emotional state when you're going through a spiritual awakening, simply because you start feeling like all of the work you're doing and breakthroughs you're having are minimized by the still unconscious people around you. It feels very alone, like no one cares about your progress and like you're facing this massive, uncertain shift all by yourself, without even so much as a friend to talk about it with in many cases. Small talk, conversations about money and the crap people buy, and pretty much all other everyday topics stop being interesting to you. You feel the need to dive much deeper, and the people in your immediate vicinity may or may not be capable of joining you at that depth. Even if they are capable, they may not want to simply because it forces them to take a closer look at their own lives, habits, and perceived flaws in an indirect way. Most unconscious people are not ready for this, which can make things very uncomfortable and further compound your sense of loneliness and abandonment. This becomes more difficult as you become more sensitive to the energies around you, including the emotional energies of others. You may experience unfamiliar emotions, which might mean that they don't actually belong to you, and you are empathically picking up on the emotions of people around you. With all of this energetic stuff going on, life can become very challenging for you, and if you're making changes to your habits or routines to help raise your vibration, you may find that many of your relationships begin to sour or fall apart due to lack of understanding, communication, codependency issues, and knowing how the people around you are feeling without them having to say anything. This can be a dangerous combination simply because their emotions may or may not be about you, although a lot of times you can sense this pretty obviously, and you may feel like a terrible burden just for existing or having needs as a human being. While it is true that your world is your mirror, in order to clean up your mirror and keep it from getting too clouded and fogged up with other people's junk, which can become extremely distracting from your mission, especially if you're emotionally enmeshed, you may decide to go into hermit mode, taking a temporary hiatus in order to get back to a place of peace and calm. Please note that this does not make you selfish. Rather, this is a necessary part of your spiritual awakening journey so that you can independently gain strength and learn how to utilize your gifts without all of those superficial 3D distractions. Feeling abandoned can also be an indicator that you have some inner work to do in the shadows. Many of us have deep-seated abandonment issues from childhood, which only makes the emotion worse. So, for example, if you remember a time or have heard stories from your childhood about when you felt abandoned or showed signs of this to another person like a parent, then there's a good chance that this is contributing to your hypersensitivity to these feelings, not to mention your reactions to these feelings. It's important to show yourself that you love yourself as much as possible every single day. How you do this is up to you, because people heal and feel inspiration in different ways, so knowing what inspires you and what makes you feel inner joy and love is very beneficial. Learning to be your own best friend. Although it isn't necessarily a good idea to completely cut yourself off from people as a whole, it can be very beneficial to take a step back for a little while to do some healing work and process what you're uncovering as your layers of epiphany peel back and the veil lifts for you. This brings with it the challenge of soothing your own loneliness and abandonment feelings, which can be done when you become your own best friend and stop relying on other people to meet your needs by meeting your own. Here are a few ideas to help you get started. 1. Do something that inspires you every day, at least once a day. This should be something that makes you feel like time disappears, you're in the flow, and you feel deep joy throughout the creative process, whatever you might be doing. This is one way in which you can stay connected with your inner being, meaning that your decisions in daily life will be more genuine and heart-centered rather than coming from a place of ego. 2. Love yourself through self-care, exercise, nourishing foods, and doing things for yourself regularly that make you feel good on a spiritual level. Meditation always helps, and if you feel like you might not have enough time to devote to meditation, then you might consider using sleep meditations on YouTube to fall asleep to. Depending on your goal for the next day when you wake up, you may even find one that runs for 8 hours, like sleep hypnosis. Once you begin meditating regularly, your perception of time changes, and it can seem to go by extremely quickly or extremely slowly. This also depends on the overall energy of the solar system and what's going on in the cosmos, but for the most part, meditation helps you to perceive linear time as moving more slowly. By taking the time to meditate, you're actually creating more perceived time for yourself, which is very beneficial for most people. Your energy level also increases, making you more productive and focused. 3. Replace habits that you don't feel good about with habits that you do feel good about. Habit replacement is an excellent way to combat addictive behavior because you're not simply emptying something out by sacrificing a bad habit that once brought you comfort. Rather, you're removing something from your daily habits that doesn't serve you and replacing it with something that helps you to build yourself up and become the greatest version of yourself, like a best friend would. 4. Don't worry so much about other people. They aren't that worried about you, no matter what they claim with their words. Actions speak much louder, so pay attention to those. I know it sounds harsh, but one of the most frustrating aspects of waking up is being hyper-aware of everyone around you and constantly taking them into consideration, while they seem careless, clumsy, or sloppy in return. They don't know any better. They are still asleep, remember? All this means is that they lack the self-awareness and consideration for their surroundings that you are so overwhelmed by. That doesn't mean that they don't deserve your love, but a lot of times you will have to make the decision to love the people from your life before awakening from afar and connect with your soul family in your everyday life. 5. This isn't about anyone else. It is about you and your responsibilities, and simplifying your life by removing anything and anyone who doesn't serve you or offer a reciprocal relationship can be very beneficial to your progress and growth. This also depends on your specific situation, of course, but you tend to learn a lot about the people around you extremely quickly once you start waking up. 6. Lower your expectations of people who are still unconsciously shrouded by the veil, but raise your expectations of yourself. The only person who can meet your expectations at any point is you, so in order to maintain your sanity as well as compassion and love for others, don't hold them to everything they say. People still wearing their veil typically mean well, but the more enmeshed you become with those who are still unconscious, the more likely you are to be disappointed by them sooner or later. 7. Find things to ease your loneliness or distract you from it. This could be chatting in an online group about spirituality, meeting up with a friend for a change of pace, watching YouTube videos about the ascension process, hiring a spiritual coach, or journaling about your feelings to transfer their energy out of yourself and onto paper. You can rant and curse and rage as much as you want within the pages of your journal, not to mention cry if you need to release some emotions that way, and writing it down will help you to sort through some of your issues and do some shadow work along the way. I've personally found journaling to be an exceptional tool for healing and self-discovery, as well as developing self-awareness and mindfulness without necessarily having to include anyone else in my inner work. 8. Read books by like-minded souls. This may seem like a strange recommendation at first, but most authors pour their energy, time, passion, and inspiration into their work. This means that you can connect with these authors on an energetic level to feel a deeper connection with a like-minded individual or individuals. Spiritual and personal development books can be extremely beneficial and helpful, but anything that interests you and has the potential to expand your consciousness further is highly recommended. Essentially, when you read a book, you are connecting with an aspect of the author's soul energy. The spiritual awakening path has its ups and downs, and for those of us who choose to actively and consciously walk this path, life may throw some pretty interesting challenges our way. These challenges are all to help you grow, evolve, and gain inner strength and courage in the process. Loneliness is part of the territory of being different, and at this point in our physical dimension's linear time structure, spiritual awakening is not commonplace yet, save for in several remote cultures. The number of people awakening has been increasing and will continue to do so, but for now, we are still at the beginning. That means it is our responsibility as lightworkers, earth angels, and starseeds to help raise the vibration of the planet, to pave the way and make the awakening process more supported for those who follow. We may be dealing with feeling lonely and abandoned, but future generations of awakening souls don't have to have it as rough, especially since we understand that old relationships don't necessarily remain as they were after an awakening, and many people find themselves in very tricky life circumstances during the already challenging awakening process. Remember that you are your own best friend, not only throughout your spiritual awakening or ascension experience, but also throughout life as a whole. You are the only person who is with you for your entire life journey in this physical time-space reality. Other people will come and go, sometimes painfully, and if you are able to be there for yourself and help yourself heal in the ways that you need to heal, you will be much more resilient and able to continue fulfilling your life's purpose. Your inner strength is much more powerful than any strength you could possibly gain from outside sources, so remember to be in touch with your inner being or soul on this journey. The light is within you, as it is within everyone, and it is up to each of us as individuals to tap into it and stay connected with our inner light. So please, light workers, take good care of yourselves and be best friends with your inner being.